Globalists, especially in their most toxic Marxian form, would have us all believe that change, which serves to advance their agenda, is never unnatural, destructive, evil, and avoidable. That the changes they have implemented and continue to implement in pursuit of their objectives are purely natural, constructive, virtuous, and inevitable. They vilify those who are hostile or even skeptical towards fundamental change as unrefined and regressive. Change is not always bad, they remind us. After all, without change, we would all still be living in huts and have an average lifespan of about 40 years. Life would be dark, brutal, and short without change. But what they fail to mention is that change, especially the fundamental, globe-altering type, can absolutely be the exact thing they consistently claim it cannot be: catastrophic. One would need to be absolutely retarded or deranged to think all change is natural, constructive, and virtuous, and one would need to be a gutless coward to think all change is inevitable. I truly believe our only fate is what we make for ourselves. Globalists, multiculturalists, communists, they all tell us that their agendas are inevitable, that their vision of the world would represent the evolution of mankind, when in reality their ideologies represent a complete divergence from anything natural or progressive. Fundamentally altering how humanity has organized itself would be incredibly destructive for many of us, if not all of us. Globalist rhetoric is the type used by conquerors who seek to demoralize resistance, the type used to make those who are fighting against uninvited change believe that their efforts are futile. Globalists, much like the Borg race in the Star Trek franchise, believe they are striving towards perfection. But in order to achieve their vision for all humanity, they need to implement what many people outside their collective consider massively unnatural and destructive change, the foremost being the seizure and replacement of the most basic and precious thing humans possess, our unique identity, and replacing it with a species-wide collective identity.
We are the Borg. We will add your biological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
Like the Borg, the globalists want to strip us of everything that meaningly defines us, and they want us to believe that resistance to that process is futile. Of course, many places in the world drastically changed when Europeans colonized them and conquered the indigenous peoples living there. Even though much of this change was objectively progressive, the globalists would articulate this change as unnatural, destructive, evil, and avoidable, a crime against humanity even, an original sin for which all Europeans must repent. The idea that the conquest of North America and all the subsequent consequences was natural, constructive, virtuous, and inevitable was and still is known as Manifest Destiny. Democrats of the time heavily supported this doctrine. They thought Euro-Americans had an essential, i.e. natural, duty to redeem and remake, i.e. fundamentally change, the North American continent in their image from sea to shining sea. They thought it was their destiny to accomplish this. Despite heavily criticizing Manifest Destiny and both the creation and destruction it left in its wake, the globalist left now consistently frames the engineered invasion and colonization of European majority nations by non-Europeans as a natural, constructive, virtuous, and inevitable change, even when the nations in question are indigenous European homelands, and even though much of the change is objectively regressive and negative. It is an act of unparalleled anti-white hypocrisy. The truth is, our genocide is necessary in the eyes of globalists, for we are the most formidable obstacle in carrying out their plan for the human species. Our eradication would aid in a swifter and more absolute achievement of their vision. The colonization of the West and the subsequent genocide of the European race is the globalists' Manifest Destiny.